you decided to join the Tucson, Arizona Police Department. Now, is it true that this came about after you just on a whim went up to a cop and said, hey, can I go on a ride along with you?
Well, it's kind of like that. Back to the NFL, just real quick, when I didn't get drafted in 2010 after I was promised by the Oakland Raiders that they would draft me, and I was devastated. And I tried out the next year to no avail. Things just still didn't work out. And I had an incredible guy who was a mentor to me, and he had told me I need to put an X on the calendar and transition when, if things are not working and I cannot keep falling for a dead end career. So I decided to look at other options, and I never thought about being a police officer at all. I was growing up, I didn't really have a good relationship with police officers. I wrote this in my book. And when I was 8 years old, I got arrested for smoking marijuana in a vacant house. So I didn't have this good, feeling about police. It took me to get saved, because I got saved in 2008 while I was in college, and I started to really see things from the lens of Christ. And that's why I even gave policing an opportunity. But I applied for everything in the city of Tucson, hoping I'd get a job somewhere. And at the time I had a small son, and they happened to call me back, and I was shocked. I thought they were calling me because I was in trouble for something, but they called me to finish the application. And then I randomly pulled up on an officer named Sean Payne and said, hey, man, can I do a ride along? And then the rest is history.
Wow. So how long were you an active police officer?
About 6.5 years.
Okay. And during that time, I'm sure you spent every day with other cops. Did you experience a bunch of racism, or see racism, or hear racism, or, find yourself immersed in a system that was systemically racist?
Well, Megyn, according to what they talk about today in some of these news platforms and these race hustlers, you would think that a person like me, being black, it was only 12 black officers on our police department, mostly white and Hispanic, that I would see racism riddled everywhere. Matter of fact, I would have been discriminated against, but that's not true. I've never met a racist police officer. Do they exist somewhere in the ether? Yeah, I'm sure there's somebody out there that shouldn't even be wearing a badge, but from my experience, I never saw a racist police officer. I will say that there's some people who may be racially insensitive, meaning that they don't grow up in the culture to understand certain cultures of people. And that goes all different ways, black, white, Hispanic. People are human. And, some things like that I've seen occur. But for the most part, these are just people who want to save their community, who want to do good things in the community, who want to serve and protect, who want to just go home at the end of the day. It's not even that drastic. It's just simple people wanting to do a work that God has called them to do, and then see their family at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm. So you eventually, among your other duties, start being a spokesperson, like the public information officer for the police force. And I'm guessing realized I'm pretty good at this. Like, I'm not so bad in front of the camera, and started speaking out more and more. But I think the way a lot of people first got to know you or saw you was that completely viral video you posted about with your thoughts on Colin Kaepernick. Back to him, 70 million views. Is 70 million? I can't get my, you gotta be normally a Kardashian to get that kind of following on any sort of social media. But let me show a clip of what we're talking about and why it became so popular.
You're talking about a flag that represents hard work, dedication, blood, sweat, and tears, sacrifice. And the thing that makes me most upset is that you have these people who turn around and take a knee and want to attribute all the negativity to the flag and the anthem, but don't want to attribute the positive. Listen, if you feel that the American flag represents negativity and slavery and all this other stuff, then you have to give credit and credence to a flag that have given you an opportunity to go from cornfields and picking cotton to being the president of the United States of America. Going from being segregated, can't go to proper schools, can't vote, taking you from that point to now you're making millions of dollars to play sports. And you know who's watching you? White people. I'm sick of y'all coming up with these lame excuses.
Wow. So where did that come from? This kid raised by Democrats. You have to be a Democrat. Think like, it doesn't sound like, well, some Democrats feel this way, but, they tend to be more on the wokeism, Colin Kaepernick side. What happened? How did you get to be a man who thinks that way and thinks for himself?
Yeah, I think I got to attribute a lot of it to God because I wasn't always like that. You know, I was a complete mess before I got saved. But then I also have to give credit to the people that I work with because some of my friends on the police department would encourage me and point me in the right direction and say, look, man, you're not a Democrat. Dude. Look at the things that you believe. This is not alignment with the Democrat Party. And you're probably more of a Republican conservative. And, you know, I saw people like Ben Carson and I finally opened my eyes to the Republican side of things. And when I woke up to it, it just inspired me to be like, I need to tell the truth and tell everybody what I know now. And I felt kind of disrespected and played because why weren't people telling me this when I was growing up? Why did I get lied to? And when I see people like Colin Kaepernick come out and spew the very thing that I felt oppressed me growing up, I said, you know what? I'm going to expose these people. And the fact that I was a police officer, served with my life alongside of people of all races, we're serving every day to protect people, and we don't get paid hardly any money. And I'm grateful. And so it makes me incredibly upset when people like Colin Kaepernick, who's raised by a white family, who is the epitome of the dying sport of racism, having a family take you in, take care of you, help you become the man that you are, and then you crap on the country. I mean, I'm old enough to remember that our ancestors fought so we all can have equality in this country. The flag represent progress. All the people who died with the hope, dream, wish, vision of the next generation to have something they didn't have, and to spit on all of the suffering that they went through and the triumph that they overcame or the triumph that they had is so disrespectful. It literally made blood vessels pop out of my eyes because I was so upset about the lies.
Wow. I mean, I understand shortly thereafter, you partnered with Candace Owens on Blexit. I mean, you were serious about getting this message out. And I have to say, I saw a lot of that reflected in, I love Larry Elder and his movie, Uncle Tom. And you had a lot of prominent Black voices coming out and saying, I didn't realize that there were Black leaders with a totally different way of thinking about our experience. People like Thomas Sowell, who, you know, for disturbing reasons is not exactly a household name, right? It's like people have to go searching. And I wonder, listening to you talk about like Ben Carson, if you think this is why the left finds people like Ben Carson, like Larry Elder, so threatening, because not only are you and Ben and all these other guys saying things that they don't want said, but you're an example. You know, if you can see it, you can be it. You're giving people a different way to think. And so you're a much larger threat.
100%. I mean, they are living a lifestyle and building a house on the sand of falsehood, racism, and oppression and discrimination and all these things that they do happen in isolated situations. But you're talking about they're inconsequential in 2021 for your success and to be somebody. And the thing is that these Democrats, they thrive on having you oppressed and down and thinking that the world hates you so they can be your savior. So they can create a situation where the government is now your God. The government is who you look to, not individuality, the way our founding fathers believed this country should be operating under. So they need you to be oppressed. They need you to think the white man is bad and have division. Because if we came together, everybody of all races, all cultural backgrounds came together with the unifying fact of truth, I mean, we're unstoppable. It would be minimum limited government. We will flourish, and more so than we do today. And these people couldn't line their pockets with this victimhood narrative. But when I see people like Thomas Sowell, Larry Elder, Candace Owens, you know, I'm just incredibly inspired. And I think we inspire a large population of Black people in this country, amongst everybody else, but a large number of Black people to say, I never heard that side. I never knew that there was another side to this. Right. Matter of fact, not only is there another side, there's an intellectual argument to disprove everything that I believed growing up. And now I'm free. I can be who I want to be. I can actually live the American dream and not be oppressed.